Venerable Geshe Doji Damdul is currently the director of Tibet House, New Delhi, Culture Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. While being assigned with the responsibility of the directorship of Tibet House, he also gives regular lectures and lead philosophy classes in Tibet House and other places as well. So he travels widely within India and abroad to teach Buddhist philosophy, psychology, logic, and practice. And he has also worked on several books as assigned by the Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He visited United States in 2008 to work with Professor Paul Ekman on His Holiness Dalai Lama's book on ethics for a new millennium part 2, and the book series The Art of Happiness, which were jointly written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, such as The Graded Path. And he has written a number of papers for national and international conferences on the topics such as the paradox of the brain and mind, and the ultimate reality according to Arya Nagarjuna. And now he's currently in the process of writing 2 important books, one entitled Journey into the Paradox of Brain and Mind, and the other, What Constitute the Ultimate Reality, the Effects of Understanding the Ultimate Reality. Thank you, Dr. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. So now you can introduce the topic to all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Ramana Swarnaji. Thank you so much for coordinating this program. And it's quite a unique presentation today. Usually they say it's about psychology and Buddhist philosophy, and here's about the business and management. It's a very interesting topic, yet if we look at the world is governed by, of course, the world is governed by management, and as well as that the force of the world is through the business today. In the olden times, everything is just the individually organized, say, individual family, individual community, or individual countries. But nowadays, everything is globalized, and because of which the business plays a very important role. And what does the Buddhist tenet system have to offer to this topic, management and business? This is a very important point. And for information, first of all, what I'd like to inform you is that what are we seeking? This is a question. What are we seeking? Before we go into the management and business, what are we seeking? And so some people, they're interested in business. Some people, they're not interested in business. They're more into, say, the personal, say, the journey of art, music, or say research and so forth, and not so much in business. Whereas some people, they're so keen on management rather than business or say the arts and so forth. So we see that people have different interests. With this, the fact that people, they're driven by various interests, is not that everybody has the same interests. They have different interests. Because they have different interests, we need to cater to their interests. And so with this, the first question comes, in order to cater to the interests, first question comes, what are they seeking? With all these, like, oh, I like management, I like business, I like arts, I like the music and so forth. Why do they need that? Why are they interested in this? So the answer, most of us will agree with me that they are seeking. So with the business, they think that they're going to have a very secure life, And the arts, they think that they will be happy. This is their passion. Likewise, music, likewise, ecology, likewise, say the teaching jobs and so forth. People have their own interests. With this, they so in short, for all this, if you ask the second question, why they go for each of these different interests, answer is that they want they want to get rid of the insecurities. In other words, they're seeking to stay away from fears. Other one is to expand the circle of joy. This is what everybody's seeking. And what Albert Einstein, a Nobel laureate in physics, we see him as a genius in physics, but let us see what he has to say pertaining to the world, the well-being of the world. So what he said is that we seek our personal interest, where at we seek your own interest at the cost of somebody else. This he defines as optical delusion, meaning that it is your optical delusion that we create division between self and others, and it is on this basis that you create a prison for yourself. And what's a prison? Prison means a place which is a very small place we don't have the freedom. And this is what he defined as a prison created by own wrong thinking, creating division between the self and others. So if you really want to be happy, he added that we need to dismantle this, the division between self and others, and expand the circle of your compassion. This is what Albert Einstein said. So having said this, we come to realize that everyone, say you are a scientist or you are the management, like the counselor or management professor, business professor in business, and the religious person, or say the working in Amnesty International, whatever you're doing, say on the one side we are seeking to get rid of your own fears, and number two, you are trying to expand the circle of happiness. But if this is goal, then then the management in business, this is what people expect as the means to achieve these two goals. And if I would ask you, in what way the management helps you to obtain these two goals, to get rid of all your problems and to expand the circle of happiness, in what way it helps? And likewise, business, how does it help to make you to get these two goals? So these are the questions. So with this in mind, before I go any further, one book that I may suggest pertaining to business and a very meaningful life joy. There's one book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, jointly written with Professor Lorenz, on business and understanding of dependent origination in Buddhism. And the book is titled Leader's Way. Leader's Way. This is a very interesting book on business and on the economics, the leadership, and the Buddhist understanding of dependent origination. So with this, I may as well first share with you that what is business and what is management, and what do you expect out of this? A business, you expect profits. And what for do you need profit? If I ask this, finally, everybody will agree with me that this profit is to guarantee for you to have a safe life, secure life, and then on that basis, in future, should there be any problem, this will help us. The money, the profit will help us. The question is, to what extent it is true that what is aspire is accomplished by money, or is accomplished by business, or is accomplished by management? To what extent it is true, this question? And some people, they go to extents of saying that, no, this is, the materialism is totally a nonsense. It is the total what destroys the world. We should be we should have a sense of contentment, and we should lead a simple life. This is one assumption. Then another assumption is that, no, this is very backward thinking, is the thinking of the laid back person. So we need to always go forward, more and more progress, more and more profit, more and more money. Okay, this question. And for this, my next question is, what amount of money do you need from the business and management? This question. How much is good? How much is enough for you to say that, okay, now it's enough? How much? If you don't have a limit, then the question is that, what are you doing? It is you are creating a toll on your life. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama so beautifully encapsulated the whole concept of the business management by saying that when you are younger, you sacrifice your health to get money. When you get some money, you sacrifice your money to get back your health, because you work like 10 hours, 12 hours, in some cases, 16 hours a day. And then you lose your health and get some money. And after losing the health, whatever money that you get, you sacrifice money then. What's the point? This is so unwise for us, struggling to get money by sacrificing the health. And when you get some money, if you really sacrifice the health, why don't you carry on with this? No, now you sacrifice the money to get back the health. You spend lots of money on your insurance, health insurance. You spend lots of money on the medical bills. This is so unwise. So for that, all the people who are into business, who are into management, you should ask this question: what is this limit where I would say this is enough? If there's no limit, then it becomes limitless. And to get to the limitless is very difficult. Because it's difficult, you risk your life, you risk your health. And once you lose your health, then you cannot go any further. Then you want to get back the health, and again you lose whatever you made, whatever you earned. This is the biggest of the dilemma, that dichotomy in one's life, if you are unwise in your in your journey of the business and the management career. So with this, seeing this dilemma, some people they turn towards the opposite direction, saying that, okay, this is just very selfish and very unwise, and totally the materialistic and hedonistic. So therefore, it is purely mind. You should be happy and purely mind. Just give up pursuing material things. Also, His Holiness the Dalai Lama would say that this is also one extreme. In other words, His Holiness would say that you have body, you have mind. For the body, you need material resources. For the mind, you need the proper thinking. You need the health of the mind, hygiene of the mind, hygiene of the emotion, hygiene of the physical well-being. So both must go hand in hand. These two must go in balance. So where you fall to one extreme, either extreme materialism or extreme, the extreme spirituality against any concern for the material progress, we are going to extreme. And when you're in the extreme, you will never lead a happy life. Okay, so with this in mind, the next question is how to go about this, the middle way, not with the extreme of materialism, not with the extreme of, the denying materialism. So how to go about the middle? This is the point. So with this in mind, in the 1st century AD, there was one great master by the name Nagarjuna, and he was more like the king then at that point. This particular king, he was so keen on to seek advice from this great master Nagarjuna, and this master was not telling him, okay, become a monk, you have to you follow spirituality, give up your kingship. No, he never said it. He is extremely into the middle way, and he advised the king that be a very genuine leader. You lead your subject in the spirit of intelligence, in the spirit of wisdom, and in the spirit of compassion, where the subject is well taken care of, and your subjects will take care of you. You take care of the subjects. So the middle way approach was advocated by the great master Nagarjuna. And so, whereas the students, the faculties in the area, in the field of economy, in the field of business, in the field of management, what is so important is that they learn how to think out of the box. Don't just flow according to the mainstream business, mainstream management. The reason why I'm saying this is that with the mainstream, look for a role model where somebody really succeeds in business, really succeeds in management, and the person is very happy. And if you are not careful, then just by getting relatively more successful, more wealth, because of business management, you may think the person is happy. Just imagine if you are the one who really reached to that level, and then find out, are you happy? Just check it. The answer is no, you're not happy, because you believe in ever getting more wealth. So why do you have to get all this wealth? What's the limit? Is there a limit in the first place? If there's no limit, then when will you stop? When will you say that, okay, this is enough now? When you stop? You will never stop. And because that, you're always forever, it's like, say, if you have $10, you look for $100. If $100, you look for $1,000. You never come to this end. And in the process, there's so much of health issues, mental stress, and so forth. So the question is how to deal with this. So in other words, that we're not to really being laid back pertaining to material world. At the same time, if you are being excessive going in this direction, you will forget your goal. And the way he's always said that when you are young, you give up your health to get more money. And when you lose health, you give up your money to get back the health. This is so unwise. And it is high time for all those in the business and management to see that what you're doing is meaningful, is sensible. This is what is extremely important for us to reflect on. Okay. My question to you is, say, what is the mark of the success of the business? What is the mark of success of management? This question. And only if you reflect on it well, then you become a sensible person. Otherwise, if you flow in the trend of the business, of the management, you will never be happy, because you keep competing with your neighbor, with your friend, with the other companies. This is what happens. If you keep competing, so are you doing business or you're doing competition? This question. And if you're doing business, then what do you call it, enough? If you're competing, this is not a business. So the point is that what is the mark of the success of business? What's the mark of success of management? These are questions that we need to keep in mind. For example, why I'm saying this is that if you look at the world history of business and of management, no doubt we see that there are so many big international companies, global companies who entered up into malpractices, who entered up into, say, the wrong businesses, who ended up, say, influencing the politicians to change the agenda of the nation in your favor. This is what is happening. For example, I don't mean to demean any company, but this is what is for sure happening. And there must be some, not all, there must be some companies which are really, say, grounded on the humanitarian basis. Otherwise, most of the companies, I'm sure, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that all are corrupted. I wouldn't go to that extent, but for sure, what I would say is that, if you're not careful, if the people are not careful, this is what is bound to happen, where corruptions can creep in. For example, nowadays, just almost like, say, once a week's time, I always get information about, say, the malpractice of the COVID vaccines. And I don't know to what extent they are true. In fact, I personally, if you ask my personal view, I'm really in favor of these companies who produce COVID vaccines, be it COVID Shield or the Pfizer. All these I really admire. And some of the COVID vaccines, yes, some countries, they realize that the efficacy is really low, and they have to return everything to the original country who manufactured it, like the ones manufactured in China, to be very honest. And what about Pfizer? What about COVID Shield and so forth? These are all the questions. They're all related to business management. And what I would say is that I can't say that they're all wrong altogether. I wouldn't say this. Some of my friends are totally against all these pharmaceutical companies. And yet we should be very objective. Yes, there must be malpractices here and there because they run like $1 trillion business. They can easily influence the politicians. And the politicians decide which direction, what rules, regulations in the business, what the ethics in business, how they should be modified, all determined by the politicians. And the politicians, they're in the hands of the business people. So it's very scary. It doesn't mean that people who are involved in business, they're all corrupted. This is not a question. Let us never ever generalize things simply on the basis that wrong people are there. Wrong people are there everywhere. Even in the religious sectors, even in the religious, spiritual sectors, we see that the wrong people are there, bad people are there, who are always there to harm others, end up into corruption. That is always everywhere. Where there's a human being, there's a mischievous person always there. Be in business, ecology, environment, the arts, religion, everywhere, universities, schools, and so forth. So this should not be the reason why we should feel deterred, we should feel discouraged from, having faith in humanity. So with this in mind, so what would be the take from the Buddhist philosophy pertaining to management and business? So, interestingly, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the epitome, the paradigm of the spirituality, good heart. He has a book on business. Leader's Way.
नागार्जुन है नागार्जुन was from South वो भी लेके गए थे Buddhism Tibet में
Leader's Way with Professor Lawrence. If you're interested, I would highly suggest you to read that book, Leader's Way. So this will tell you what is the how would a spiritual person can still be in the business and not they enter into corruption. Okay, now for your information, say what is the take from the Buddhist philosophical point of view pertaining to business management. And as I said earlier, the Buddha Shakyamuni, who appeared 2,500 years ago, he acknowledged the manner in which we all acknowledge that we're all seeking the freedom, total freedom, and we're all seeking infinite happiness. Whatever religion that you're following, you're be it believer or non-believer, male, female, everyone is seeking this. This is a bare fact. And if I were to ask you, if somebody were to ask me, I'll say at the bottom, what is everyone seeking? The ultra rich people, or the ultra brilliant people, the Nobel laureates, or the politicians, or the people who run NGOs. What are they seeking? And what they seek, total freedom and infinite happiness. Is this something that we can attain? This question. So in this connection, Buddhism, there are two views. There are two classes of the practitioners. One who practice to attain freedom, total freedom, and the other who attempts to attain who is inspired to attain not only freedom but also infinite happiness. Because there are two goals there, there are two practitioners, and the one who practice the fearlessness or infinite happiness, these people they are not really interested in business or the management. So they are more into a very simple life. They go a very simple life, not being influenced by any external factors and so forth. This is what they seek. So these people, they are known as the, generally speaking, personal liberation seekers. They seek personal liberation, and it's like the sound of clap. The two hands come together, and the sound of clap is erupted. Likewise, external factors and internal factors come together, and the sound of the misery is erupt. So this, the first class of the beings who seek just the liberation for oneself. So these people, they were thinking of removing the internal factor. Okay, so I don't care about the external factors. I should run away from the external factors, and I should take care of the internal factors to get rid of this internal factor, and I'll be liberated from all the ills of life, ills of samsara. Okay, so these people, they're not really interested in business or not interested in management. Whereas if somebody has a business, the bent of mind, or a management bent of mind, these people, can we really practice spirituality? Can we really practice dharma? This question. The answer is yes. In Buddhism, there are two classes of the beings. One whose aspiration is to seek the freedom. Freedom meaning that you are not affected by any external factors. So that way they're not interested in business management. Business management both. It involves a network of people, and you are bound to be affected by these people. Versus the second group of the people who seek total happiness or expansive, infinite happiness. So who are these people? They come to know the fact that these two things, say the service for the humanity and great compassion accompanying the service for humanity versus your own benefit. These two are seen as synonymous. The more you work to practice compassion, the more you acquire the joy, the peace of mind. And these people, they are known as the Mahayana practitioners, Mahayana Buddhists, people who seek infinite happiness by knowing the secret of this happiness, by embracing others infinitely, that you get the infinite happiness. Okay, so these people, because they want to get the maximum infinite towards others, they need to know how to deal with other people. How do you deal with the other people? Many people who are very smart, they're into business and they're into management. So unless until you're able to influence others, there's no way by which you can manifest your great compassion. So they deliberately go out. They deliberately go out to reach out to others. So with this, what they do is that when they go out, invariably, one has to deal with them. And invariably, management comes to play. And invariably, the interaction involves business. So these two things then play a very important role, pertain to those people as presented as what find in Buddhism, the people who are into benefiting others, they invariably get connected with management and business. So the question is, I remember some of my friends, once we had the meeting on the ethics in business in MDI. MDI in Gurgaon here, so which is one of the most reputed management institutes. So there, one person, in fact, that meeting was the people from the level of the CEO from the various companies. And there was one gentleman who was the former, I think, the chairman of Tata Company. So what he said was that, we can talk about ethics in business, but we need very strong points. Thus far, the people who say they give the presentations on the ethics of business, they don't have the strong points. We need very strong points to say that the ethics is inalienable part of the business. Okay, so what is this ethics? This question, and so these beings, these people, as who follow the Buddhist teachings, and yet who are like what the Buddha did, you try their best in helping others, of the beings of the great compassion. When we look at them, we see that they have, say, the first is that they have the very courageous mind. They train themselves to build a very strong motivation, courageous motivation. May I become perfected to benefit all the beings. This is what they do. How they build their motivation. So in the process of benefit others, then they practice what is known as the 6 perfections. 6 perfections, 6 plus 4, making 10. These are known as the 10 perfections. And underscoring all these 10 perfections is 1, skillfulness. So usually we have the stereotype of thought that somebody in spirituality, he cannot do business, she cannot do business. Somebody into business, the spirituality is just meaningless. This impression. Whereas anybody who gets this impression, this is a pure naivety in the mind. So with this, what are these practices which are all underscored by the skillfulness? The first one is generosity. Number 2 is ethical discipline. Number 3 is patience. Number 4 is enthusiasm. Number 5 is single-pointedness, the power of the single-pointedness. And number 6 is the discriminatory wisdom to see the reality. So these are 6 practices that these great bodhisattvas do. So now, look at things. For example, the generosity. The bodhisattvas, for them, it is to practice generosity to benefit others. And what about the business people? Should they be engaged in business or not? So in Buddhism, there's the concept of rebirth. And with the generosity is about the people who have money. They can effectively engage in the generosity. And of course, I personally would say that the various governments, various nations, some of the nations which I know very closely, they're amazing. For example, Indian government, there are rules that if you're running a business, the company, some part of the profit must be spent on the social welfare. There's amazing rules regulations set by the government, which is so precious, and all the tax systems, the fact that when we engage in the practice of business and so forth, you have to pay the tax to the government. These are all so important, and finally, with the business, we see that these perfection, generosity, perfection, ethical discipline. And so finally, even the business is should not be forgotten that this is for your well-being, for your happiness. And where the ethics is missing, number 2, ethics is missing, deep inside there's the guilt within the individual. Because of this, you are never happy. You have to defend yourself. And for that matter, you have to live in doubt. You have to live in expectations. And these actually, when they're not fulfilled, you end up into a deep sense of regret, and this harms your immunity. Where the immunity is gone, your health is gone. Where health is gone, what for? You get through money. What for? You are engaging in business and in management. So this is what we need to keep in mind. And then the next one is the patience. So be it business or spirituality, whatever you are engaged in, we're bound to meet with, or we're bound to encounter with challenges. With challenges, we need to have a sense of the sense of the patience. Where the patience is missing, your mind will really feel agitated, upset, and then this is what can destroy your peace of mind. And what's the point? If you have a lot of money for what? To make you peace. Money per se will not give peace. So let's not forget it. And the next one is enthusiasm, finding joy in the virtue that you do. There are many entrepreneurs who are involved in giving away, sharing their wealth with the public, with the nations. These are extremely noble thoughts, because as you share this feeling of warmth will come to you, and naturally you're a happier person. So this is something extremely important. So the compassion. So the point is that the business and management. How can one in business or management have a sense of ethics? This is the next question. For that, in Buddhism, there is what is known as the concept of dependent origination. Dependent origination means that whatever we do, what we expect as a result should come into being by dependence on various factors. By dependence on various factors, one can expect to achieve the goals. And these factors are not always in your hand. They're all interconnected. For example, say the COVID-19 tells us that, say, the one COVID virus from one country can just put a hold to the operation of the whole world, all the nations. How much trillions and trillions of dollars lost by each of the nation. How the individuals suffer so terribly in the various countries. So these things are all because of, I say, because of the interdependent nature. We're all interdependent. Now, for example, say any country, India, Japan, America, Nigeria, Cambodia, any country who fail to neglect the COVID led to the wide spread of COVID, the world cannot live in peace. World cannot sleep in peace. For the reason that you have, so where there is the COVID year, it can anytime enter your place. And last year, when the Mr. Blinken, the Secretary of State, visited India, and I was a part of the first conference organized in his presence. And he said one thing which is extremely touching. What he said was that one country alone cannot do anything to fight COVID. We're all interdependent. I'm so impressed by the statement that he made, that we're all interdependent, and because of which that we must fight collectively. I fully agree with him. And so with this, they say, how can we decide that what we do is ethically done? And given that for the business, for management, what we seek is a profit. And the profit, what amount is a good amount that you will rest? The reality is that there is no limit. And this is reality. People from the business, they know that. People from the management, they know that. So with this, what is important is that finally we should not forget what we are seeking. We are seeking a total freedom of our mind. We are seeking the happiness. And by seeking this, the goal which is unachievable, infinite, unachievable, are you ever happy? So one time, there's I'm sure many of you all know the story, that a beggar found a solid gold underneath. And the beggar said, and his friends, they asked him, what are you going to do with this gold? And he said that I'm going to give this to the rich, to the most, give this to the poorest person in my country. And the next day, he gave it to the king. And everybody was so surprised. He's the richest person, or he gave it to the richest person. Well, let's not forget what he said, the message that he gave. He said that richness and the poverty is not about how much you have. It's about your hunger. It's a measure of your hunger for wealth. Where there's hunger, you don't have food. Where there's no hunger, the purpose of food is fulfilled. So likewise, the purpose of wealth is that you are given assurance, security. We don't feel the security. What's the purpose of wealth? This question. So in other words, the message here is that we have to know the reality of interdependency. We will never get the infinite thing that we are seeking. So we're all interdependent, and where, so your neighbor suffers, you suffer, your neighbor country suffers, you suffer. And just look at this, one COVID virus from Wuhan, that is good enough just to keep the hold of the whole world. And so with this mind, when given that we are all seeking happiness, and since that, if you look for the pure external, the wealth, you are to measure that from the successful, the mark of successful business. So then you go to infinity. You will never be happy because you will never achieve that. So whereas, if you know that things are all interdependent, and on that basis, when you feel that that others should not suffer, if the others suffer, I'll suffer. So this feeling of love and affection comes. But there's a joy coming, and that joy is so precious. And if I bet you that somebody who feels this tremendous joy out of love, if the same joy is what the business, the tycoons of the business, they get through taking pill, all these tycoons of business will buy this pill. Whereas, when will you get this pill? It's not external pill. You will never get this external pill. There's something that you have to create yourself. How? From the practice of compassion, with the acknowledgement of the interdependency of oneself and others. And so the question is that if you know the interdependence, then the purpose of the business, the real joy, the real happiness will come in you. It's because of this that many of the business top rankers, they're involved in entrepreneurial the projects, helping the weaker countries, helping the worker, the weaker the section of the people, and so forth. This is so precious. And one thing which I like to share with you is that on the one hand, the world is governed by the leaders, political leaders. On the other hand, I see that the world is governed by the businessmen. Because these leaders, many of them, they don't really have the money. They need the support of the big companies. And the big companies, they have the money. So they influence the business people, the leaders. And the leaders, they decide the rules and regulations of the nation. So it's a very vicious cycle. The leaders, they make their rules and regulations, and they give every possibility for the business tycoons to grow. And business tycoons, they support the business people. So this always, support the politicians. This is how it goes like this. And meanwhile, the common people, they suffer terribly because of the gap between the rich and the poor. Common people suffer terribly. So how can we solve this problem? There are many, in fact, they are really very compassionate. The business people are there. They really want to make a change in the community. One can be done to make sure that the business goes well, management goes well, management business both go ethically. The ethics, the code of ethics of the business, of the management, they're all followed. How should that happen? So for this, say the business people, they are governed by the politicians, and politicians, they're governed by the business people. And the politicians, how come that they're very powerful, although they may not have so much money as the business people? They are powerful because of the commonest people. People, they vote. They give the vote to them. And so, which means that whether the business successful, not successful, going in a positive direction, not positive direction, all determined by the politicians, who are determined by the common people. So all these are determined by the common people. Answer is yes. And unfortunately, although the common people may not be as devious or whatever, but the common people, they decide the business leaders, political leaders. And how can we make sure the common people are more sensible? Only if they are very sensible, they will look for the very sensible leaders, and very sensible leaders will really work for the common people by not giving undue advantage to the business people and the management. So yeah, so with this we see there's connection, and finally we see the common people is the power of the common people. So how to make it the usable, where the bad people may not be the politicians, and that they do not get the power to change the business or to support the business. So we see that this dilemma is there. So for this, I'd like to share with you what His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, since many years ago, when I was traveling with His Holiness the Dalai Lama for about like 6 years, wherever he travels, within India, outside India, the experts, business experts, medical experts, environmental experts, professors, they all ask one question. That is, why modern education, while it is meant for the human being's growth of the joy and happiness, more the modern education climbs the height of development, more the world is unhappy. Greater is the rift between the rich and poor. Greater is the rift, discrimination pertaining to the gender. In other words, gender discriminations. All this is happening despite the education, the standard of education rising very sharply. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, without second thought, would say that this is a mistake in the modern education. And I know that there are many from business management who really want to do something positive and who want to lead a very ethical life. And when they try to engage in as per this motivation, when they see there are hundreds of people, hundreds of business, what do you call successful business people or management, when they realize that they are into such a dark drama of the world, hiding behind to create disaster in the world. So how to bring about change in this? His Holiness the Dalai Lama calls it as universal ethics. What does it mean by universal ethics? Irrespective of what religion that you're following, irrespective of whether you're following religion or no religion in the first place. He said that the one thing which needs to be improved in humanity is what he calls universal ethics, where somebody has the sense that the conscience of the universal ethics. The person goes into business, the business will be very clean, no guilt, and there's so much respect happening there. Or in the environmental science, again, same thing. In the universities, colleges, schools, arts, everywhere the person is going to be very sensible and everybody will respect this question. So with this, how can you guarantee that the common people, they are very matured to the extent that the business people, the leaders who come out of these commoners, young children, they become very healthy in their thinking, in the business, following the ethics of business. So how to make it happen? And to all these responses, to all these questions from the different experts about why with the acute rise in the modern education, why the people are still suffering, His Holiness, without second thought, would say that this is because of lack of the education curriculum to promote the secular ethics. And there are many people. There are many people who are there are many people who are into, say, education, And yet that they don't have this heart. The modern education that they get, it only helps you to develop your brain. They do not help you to train the heart, train the heart. So without which you, whatever discipline that you go into politics or into business, management, in universities, administrators, or whatever, your mind will be very unhappy, and you will just export unhappiness towards other beings by creating unnecessary problems on others. So how to solve this problem? This is a major question asked to His Holiness, and without any second thought, His Holiness say that it is because that we need to introduce the universal ethics, which whether you believe it or not, believers should follow it, non-believers should follow it, and the male should follow it, female should follow it. Whether you are environmentalist, you should follow it. Even if you are, they say, the industrialist or politicians, you have to follow it. This is something we have to teach to the youngsters. This is called as the universal ethics, and it's because of His Holiness the Dalai Lama that this program, Universal Ethics, has now is now coming off shape, very good shape, and I think 2014 that under the auspices of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Emory University in America took the lead to launch the program known as known as C learning, social, emotional, ethical learning. And this material is just to see how emotionally you become very positive and social on the level of the society, how you can contribute, how you can be a part of this society without hurting the society. So all these things come out of this program known as C learning. And this program, anybody who's interested, you can get all the materials for free by downloading the C learning program. So His Holiness sees the need that this secular ethics or universal ethics must be taught in all the universities, colleges, schools, and so forth, to make sure that anybody who comes out of this program, they become a very sensible person. There's a self-regulation happening without ending up into corruption. So this is what His Holiness calls as the universal ethics. Okay. And in fact, I remember one time when I was going from a personal retreat from Manali. Manali is a place in North India, and from there I was heading to Kinnaur. No, sorry, not Kiron. It is the what is that? Lahore. I was heading to Lahore through Manali, and it had to cross one pass. Now I think that it has been many years. Now the Indian government already built a tunnel, which will really make things like you can now skip like 15 extra kilometers. You can directly go to Lahore through this tunnel. So when I went there, it was in the process of being the process of building, and I had to go by the very long, difficult mountainous pass. At one point, what happened was that the taxi in which was carrying me, somewhere in the very narrow passage of the road, this taxi got stuck. And I thought, okay, now we are finished. So we have to go down like several, minimum 40-50 kilometers for a mechanic, and again 40-50 kilometers up, 40-50 kilometers down. And so this was and I noticed that there are so many people there who were actually around my car meaning that the car in which I was traveling, and the people there, no one was showing anger. Why your car is got stuck here? Why? Nobody was asking. Everybody was in a very positive mood, smiling and talking. And then some young boys, they lifted the car and put it on the same place where we can run. I was so fascinated. Wow, this is humanity. This humanity. And then after about like 1 month in Lahore, then when I was coming back, when I was coming back, again my friend put me in a small car. Again, it was not in the same area, in a different area. At that time, at the top of the pass. At the top, it was very wide road, not small. At the top, it was wide road, and nobody stopped. I thought that, okay, don't worry, we got stuck there. But since the people are so kind, my faith in humanity, nobody came and stopped. Then we became so desperate. We went there and we stopped. We was trying to stop the cars. Nobody stopped. And guess why? The people, not only the people were being so kind, people actually, without being asked for, people were helping to lift the car and put it in the safe place for us to drive. Whereas in the second case, nobody, with all our efforts to help us, nobody stopped, except for one, the truck driver and 5 young Indian gentlemen. They were all on the bike. They were very expert travelers, and they stopped. They stopped, and they helped. Otherwise, we tried to stop many cars. Nobody stopped. So guess what? What do you think was the reason why, in the first place, without being asked for, people were helping us? Nobody was unhappy. Everybody smiling. There's so much of friendship within. Whereas in the second case, nobody stopped. Why? You may guess. Answer was that in the first case, our car got stuck in a very narrow passage where only one car can go. Behind us, there were thousands of cars. Thousands of cars. If my car doesn't go, then the remaining cars, they all get stuck. So there's no choice other than help. Whereas in the second case, since the road was so wide, our car got stuck. It doesn't have any effect on other cars. So everybody just passed by. So in the second case, people could not see dependent origination. People could not see the interdependency. Whereas the interdependency does exist, even in that case. But people cannot see that. Whereas in the first case, interdependency was so immediately seen that your car cannot go, all our cars cannot go. So immediately they could see interdependency. Whereas in the second case, they could not see the interdependency. Also, although it did exist, it's not right in front of the nose. To give you one example, was that so finally, because of this poor truck driver and the 5 young Indian men with their bikes, they helped us, and we finally were able to move. It was already late. I thought we were going to die that night because it was terribly cold and already becoming dark, and nobody stopping us, nobody stopping to help us. And our car got stuck in the mud. It was quite scary. And then what happened was that finally, because of these 5, 6 kind people, we were able to move. And particularly, I remember there was one gentleman who was about to stop, just looked at us and then left. And so this person, why the person left was because he could not see the dependent origination, interdependency. What happened was that while I was going down, after about like 1 or 2 kilometers, the other person's car got stuck there. The person who just stopped looked at me and then left. So this person's car got stuck there, and you could see that now our car was moving. So the person, from the facial expression, from the body language and the facial expression, I could get a feeling that he regretted. And I was so keen that, okay, it doesn't matter. It's not about, say, it is his failure to see the interdependency, and because of which that this happened, I was so keen that how wish that I can help them to get into my car. And somehow they were transferring all the passengers in their car, the gentleman and his family, into another car, and they could see that our car was following theirs, and there's a little bit of regret there. So this is a clear indication how failure to see the interdependency, you suffer. But you see the interdependence, compassion arises. With the compassion arising, everybody's benefited, nobody suffers, everybody benefits. So the business is no exception. Management is no exception. There, more you have the sense of management, the sense of the interdependency. Under that interdependency, your compassion grows. With the compassion, what you do becomes so ethical, ethics in business. And in fact, sometimes we go to such extent of unethical business and management that you end up in prison, which is extremely sad. That business, while it's meant to give rise to happiness, but because of your failure to do it properly, you end up in the prison, which is the worst of the place to get into. So what I'm saying is that the business ethics in business, ethics in management, they're extremely important, and these can best be understood. These can best be practiced through understanding through the feeling of compassion. And this feeling of compassion so naturally is exuded by understanding the dependent origination or interdependency. And the interdependency, we should be smart enough to see the interdependency, the network of interdependency, the nuances of the interdependency playing into within a large frame of space and a large frame of time. So the more you see the interdependency on the larger space and larger time, the more your business, the sense of ethics will be there. More sense of the ethics be there. Your business is going to be management business. They're all going to be very healthy, wholesome, and because of which you will see that you're benefited, your family is benefited, and all the people who connect with this are benefited. So for this, this is so important, and the business people, particularly the young people who are into the business management, it is so important to see how we can make this to broaden their understanding of interdependency, and thus make the compassion as a fabric of the ethics of the business through the encouraging yourself, spreading the word of this program, social, emotional, ethical learning, universal ethics, into the education, modern education curriculum, and how to include this on the national level, on the UNO level. So whatever extent of your the connection is, you can influence the people, and this is how we can expect the whole world to be a happy world, and the management and business all to be sound and healthy. Okay, so I'll stop here, Ramanaji, and we may as well open this up for question and answers.
Yes, thank you, sir. It was such a wonderful session that I keep missing your other talks also, and the way you have explained the basic principles of Buddhism. I mean, I can never ever find it in any of the books also, sir. the examples that you have cited, number one, and the manner in which we can look in the present times, the principle of dependency, origination of dependency. You have explained it in an excellent manner, sir. So I thank you for sharing the entire discussion based upon the values of Buddhism that we are looking forward, and the model that you have presented right now. I think if some of us have been able to understand what is that India, dependent origination is, and how the interdependency is coming up, I think we have understood the importance of business and the management studies also, sir. So I think I'll pick up certain things which have been presented on the chat box step by step, to see how the participants who are present here are looking at Buddhism and understand it. Here is one question, sir. Money has many functions besides taking care of personal health. Hence, is it correct to state that in the end, you have money but no health?
Okay. Yes, this is a good question. Keep in mind that yes, money can do magic. At the same time, money and health. Health should be number one. If you lose the health, you are in pain, and the money cannot remove the pain. And the money can do surgery, but the surgery is like an old car, makes you an old car. And an old car and new car, there's a difference. So better, don't break your health for money. And keep in mind that this money can never give back the original health. Where there's health, everything will fall in place. Where there's no health, money can't do anything. Let's not forget it. This is so important. And in the end of the day, say yes, we're all impermanent. We're all the mortal beings. We're all mortal beings. We all die. But why should you have to kill yourself before your time to leave the world, simply to make money, so that you can have a happy life? This is the greatest of the irony. You make money meant to give you happiness, and making money give you miseries. This is the greatest of the irony of a life. So therefore, please take care of health. And it doesn't mean that health is first and money is nothing. This is not a connotation. Health is first, and number two is money. With the health, wholesome emotion, money. These three things go together. Let's not forget it. It doesn't mean that we have to focus on one and ignore others. No. We need health. We need emotional hygiene, wholesome emotion, and we need money. These three things, three sides of the triangle. These three are so important. Let's not forget it. Yes, for money, don't lose your health. Thank you.
Yes. So, sir, there is another question which has come up. Please throw some light on the failure of Buddhism in bringing peace through non-violence, especially in two countries which really professed Buddhism, China and Sri Lanka.
Okay. Okay. Let us put it like this. This is very important. Say Buddhism, as I said earlier, it has two sides. One, to work for your own personal growth, just for your personal growth, and not much to do with the community. Number two is which works primarily on the community, with one thing. And let's say the China per se, China, the economy-wise, is extremely powerful. At the same time, if you look at the people, the commoners in China, they look at the size, the population of China. This is the biggest population in the world. And if you say the country-wise, China is economically very strong. But I say if you look at the individual, the citizens of China, there are many who are utterly poor. They're very poor. They terrible. And why the products made in China are very cheap? It's because of the cheap labor. So without these, the people, they cannot fight for, okay, our wages low. They cannot fight for this low wage. As a low wage, they cannot fight, because if this is stopped, they have nothing to eat. So naturally, things become very cheap because of the cheap labor. So most of the countries, they want to establish their business in China simply because of this cheap labor. That's it. And the same thing produced in America is going to cost like 10 times more expensive, because the living standard of the people there is very high, and these are the realities. So with this in mind, China per se is not a Buddhist country. Let's not forget it. China, once upon a time, before the advent of communism in China, they say there's the number of Buddhism was really huge in China. And with the advent of communism, then Buddhism was destroyed. Now look at the people there. They're so unhappy, so unhappy. They have to live in fear. India, say financially, India is much weaker, but the citizens of India, they are much, much, much happier, much more happy than the Chinese in China, because there's so much freedom in India. Where is such a freedom in China? And if you don't believe, what happened to WhatsApp? What happened to CNN? What happened to BBC? All these things are unheard of in Communist China here. In India, we can freely go through all these the media. So there's a tremendous freedom here in India. Let's not forget it. So the China per se is not at all. They have to live in fear. Live in fear. So in other words, so in India, where is there a provision where somebody can say that I'm going to be the leader eternally? In communism, it happened. Xi Jinping, now he became the supreme leader till the end of his life. So the point is that China per se is not the Buddhist. Tibet is Buddhist. Now there's huge influx of the Chinese coming from mainland China to Tibet. That's very unfortunate. This is what it destroys. And then the communist Chinese having the grip, the illegal invasion of Tibet, and now the controlling Tibet, whole Tibet. So now all the Buddha statues, these things are being all removed by since the time of the Cultural Revolution. This is all happening. Very unfortunate things are happening. This thing. And Sri Lanka per se, if Sri Lanka is the majority, the Buddhists and the leaders. This is where we need to make a distinction between the ism and the individual. And the individual, when they become so much into the money, and you lose your integrity, then you surrender to the economy giants. So this is how they surrender to the communism, the communist CCP. This is very unfortunate. It has nothing to do with Buddhism. It's about the economy. And the economy is again interdependent. How China becomes so powerful is because of the world. World established their all business in America. They buy everything from in the China, and they're buying everything from the China. Naturally, China becomes very powerful, and now everybody's scared of China. Who made yourself scared? You have made it. You give the business to them. So now India is promoting Made in India. Make in India. This is so important. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful explanation. The next question is, could we say that ethics, compassion, etc., can be the business strategies in order to beat the competition?
Okay, this is a good question. In fact, I'll say the looking at the thoughts of the different thinkers. Say the what is his name? Krishnamurti, J. Krishnamurti.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually against any form of comparison. He says that comparison, it destroys the children, destroys the people. So there should be no comparison. Whereas, so I don't mean to compare him and his Holiness the Dalai Lama, but what I would say is that I simply wanted to give you the thoughts of what he said. He said comparison should not be the fabric. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, again, so many questions are being asked to him. Say the business without competition, you cannot really have it. And His Holiness agrees. His Holiness the Dalai Lama agrees, saying that competition, there are two. One destructive competition and the other constructive competition. Destructive competition is where you fail and you let others fail. Constructive competition is where you grow and others also grow. This is so wise. So the point is that compassion, particularly in the context of the Mahayana Buddhism, I said there's a tremendous emphasis on what is known as skillfulness. Be it compassion, be it business, there must be skillfulness there. Be it competition, there must be skillfulness there. With a skillful compassion, say out of compassion, you compete with the other person so that the other person grows and you also grow. That is known as the skillful compassion. Whereas the compassion fatigue, or say whereas unskilled compassion, is compassion which simply makes you so passive and which makes others also lazy. This is unskilled compassion. So when I speak about the compassion and ethics in business, it doesn't mean the unskilled compassion, unskilled ethics. It is the skillful compassion and skillful ethics which makes your business grow, which makes your competitors also grow, both sides grow. Because the tendency is that if your competitors, there's competition there, then your mind becomes more active to think of how to grow. I'm very sure I'll say that if everything is monopolized in a business will never grow and the whole world will suffer. For example, this pen, if I buy from the shop today, it'll cost me only about like the 5 rupees or maximum 10 rupees in India. In America, maybe it's like 10 cents, not even 10 cents, most likely. So the point is that why I'm getting so cheap? If somebody patents it and then says that nobody's allowed to produce any pen, it's only my company who is entitled to produce a pen, it's a disaster. Then the person can monopolize. Most likely, the company will monopolize, will make this 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. You cannot do anything. For example, all these books, they are so important. And say that this book is available in one particular translation, or let's say that in whatever, and it is monopolized. If it is monopolized deliberately, sometimes this is what happens. This book can be made available very cheap, for about like 100 rupees, 200 rupees, very cheap. But if you monopolize some of the books, believe it or not, some of the books like this can cost you like 5,000, 10,000 rupees, because nobody's entitled to reproduce this. And there's only a few copies there. And where is the freedom of education? This is the question. Where is the freedom of education? So your education is restricted because of the desire, because of your craving, greed for wealth, to monopolize things. So this is because of lack of ethics. So what I'm saying is compassion in ethics. So compassion and ethics in business doesn't mean a passive compassion and passive ethics. It should be very active ethics and compassion, skillful ethics, where you grow, the world grows, and the whole world flourishes. In education, in wealth, in spirituality, in compassion, and in the spirit of harmony, dialogue, and no one being killed by each other for one's own personal interests. Everybody should be have a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood. Thank you.
Yes, again, it's a wonderful concepts that you have given to us, and I don't think so. These concepts of compassion, destructive, constructive compassion, and how you have introduced these concepts, I should say I have to clap for you, sir. And it's a wonderful thing that you have introduced today in this particular session. And I think all the participants who are here today are very lucky to understand the importance of this particular concepts that you have introduced in the competitive, true competitive survival, corporate responsibility, the corporate ethics that we are talking about. So thank you for giving us that particular way of understanding in terms of Buddhism. So thank you once again. Next question is, common people, it has been taken up as a synonym for unsuccessful people. Do you agree with it?
This is an interesting question. Okay, the first time I'm hearing it. Okay, common people are synonymous with the unsuccessful people. Okay, which means I'm an unsuccessful person. We are all common people. This is a good question. Okay, thank you so much. Do I agree with this? Okay, if you remember the initial one of the questions which I asked the audience, that what's the purpose of business? Why do you have to do the business? Number one, and yes, there's a purpose there, so to get profit and money. Then what is this money for? For my happiness. So when will you be happy? To get 100 rupees, or to get say the $1 billion, or to get just $10? You make a business, you do a business, you get $1,000. That makes you happy, or $1 billion, or $1 trillion? And everybody's making $1 trillion. You will never be happy, I know. So when will you be? Is this to make you happy, or this is to create illusion which you chase, where you will never be happy? This question. So common people are really happy people. They don't expect to say they become trillionaires, billionaires. They don't expect that. But the business people, initially, you may not have, particularly when you become the CEO of a big company, you may not have a thought of becoming a trillionaire. Okay, if I become a millionaire, it's good enough. And then when you become a millionaire, then you're not happy. Still, you want to become billionaire. So when will that happen? You have already created illusion, chasing which you will never come to the goal. This illusion of the illusion of happiness. Illusion, which means it's not happy, it's illusion. So you create illusory happiness. But the common people, they're the wisest people. They actually experience the happiness because they're satisfied. So therefore, the example that I gave you, the poor person who found a solid gold, he said, I'm going to give this to the poorest person in this kingdom. And he gave to the king. Because the king is greedy, there was greed there. And the common people, they're happy. In other words, what is happiness? When you have a sense of contentment, this is happiness. When you have the greed, you are never happy. So with this in mind, I would say that in general, the common people and the business people who are always chasing after illusory happiness, the common people are wiser. They are the happiest person. They are not the unsuccessful. They are the most successful people. Because finally, what is this money for? It's for happiness. And common people are happy, and the billionaires, they are not happy. They have to always live on they have always live with tranquilizers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, world works on the principle of survival of the fittest. Do you think that is the ultimate reality?
Okay, the survival of the fittest. This is an interesting point. Okay, the Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory. Survival of the fittest. Do you believe that this is the ultimate reality? And this is a very interesting discussion. I'm not going to cite from Buddhist point of view, from this point of view. No, I'm just going to cite from the common sense perspective. Is that just think of two families. The two families, metaphor for two different worlds. One world who believe in the survival of the fittest, where you're the strongest, you survive, others die. And whereas, so this survival of the fittest, they metaphorically a family where everybody is fighting against each other. And there's another family, everybody is supporting each other, who doesn't believe in the survival of the fittest, who believe in the love is the fittest. So if I ask any sensible person, anybody who's following Charles Darwin's evolution theory, if I ask them, if you are to be part of one of these two families, which will you join? For sure, everybody will say that the family who lives on the principle of love and affection. I will never be happy to live in the family governed by hate and fight, who believe in the survival of the fittest. As simple as that. So where you fight, you all die, you all perish. Whereas you survive on love, you all thrive. So why not the world? Let us all thrive rather than we die. So therefore, we should believe in the survival of not the fittest, survival of the love. There is belief in this. It's just a common sense. Thank you.
Okay, right, sir. Now, there is one more question. What is the universal method for maintaining mental hygiene according to Buddhism?
Okay, so whether me to explain from the Buddhist point of view or from the point of view of the secular concept, what I would say is that don't ask me. I would rather ask you. In your life, or in the majority of the people's life, when were you the happiest? Just think of that. You will see that when you were so young, age 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, when you were so vulnerable, and there's somebody there who you call as my mom. The moment you come from school, there's so much of fear, anxiety, uneasiness, irritation within you. The elder students bullying you. And the moment you come home, you just feel like crying in front of the mother. There's where you can just relax yourself. Every cell of your body relaxes in front of the mother. That is the time you feel the happiest. You feel the happiest. So the point is that the say, what is that thing which makes you to survive more successfully? That is, with your love and effect, when you feel this love, that is when you feel to grow, when you feel to really feel the joy and happiness. So the secret of the happiness, the secret of thriving, proliferation, all lies in the love and affection. And as Albert Einstein rightly pointed out, say, as you expand the circle of love and affection, your happiness grows. That should be the purpose. That should be the principle of the ethics for business, ethics for environment, ethics for administration, governance, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, as a researcher, we are expected to discover or uncover the truth or reality. And to do so, we use some methodologies. Okay. Are there any methodologies in Buddhism to explore the reality which can help researchers?
Okay, this is an interesting question. So, is there any methodology in Buddhism to establish what reality is? This is a good question. And let's say that if I ask the same question to a physicist, the same question to a neurologist or a neuroscientist, or to an environmentalist, or to a medical expert, or to the Mozart, the music genius, or to, what is his name, the Usain Bolt. If I ask the same question to all these different people, answer is different. Don't expect the same answer because the disciplines are different. The mark of what is right, what is wrong, the mark of what is reality, the mark of the methodology to look, because the reality is different in these different fields. The methodology to look for the reality should be also different. For example, say the to measure, to test the COVID-19, and to test the blood pressure, to test your say the immunity. These all employ different methodologies. What is employed to test your COVID cannot test your, say, the sugar level. You cannot test it. So the point, what I'm saying, is that the reality, following, say, the what is reality, say, in physics is very different from what is reality in Buddhism. Whereas physics and Buddhist philosophy, these two are very close. Whereas neuroscience, they don't care about atoms, electrons, protons. They don't care about it. They only care about how as a neuron works, how is a neuron created by multiple atoms. They work collectively as neuron, only then they're interested. Individually as atoms, how they behave, they're not interested. And for the environmentalists, atoms, how the atoms behave, it has nothing to do with them. The neurons, how the neurons work, transmitters move here, it doesn't matter for them. And those people who are expert in ocean, they have nothing to do with the neuroscience. So what I'm saying is that everything has a different the goals, what they are seeking, and accordingly they have different methodologies to identify or to reach the air. So likewise, in Buddhist philosophy, say, what is the reality? So in Buddhism, the goal is not to explore what the brain is doing. The goal is not to explore how the ocean behaves, how the tsunami works. So it's about how to remove your fears of life, and how to remove the fear of the COVID-19, and how to expand the field of love and affection, how they expand your circle of your happiness within you, within the family, how to stop anger towards your mother, how to spread your compassion, you be a good role model for your family members, and neighbors and others. So that is the goal. So accordingly, say the what is the reality unfolding of which will make you accomplish that. So this reality is about the cognitive apprehension, say a cognitive object, which cognizing it the effectively, all these good qualities automatically exude. Whereas the cognition happens in an erroneous way, all the unhappiness within the mind, anger, agitation, stress, anxiety, all these things exude out of this. So for this, there are, of course, there are methodology, very systematic methodology are provided there, but all this methodology from the to the different disciplines, they vary. They're not the same. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, once again for such a wonderful explanation for that simple question. Now I have a long question, and there are certain things which have been included here. Not survival of fittest. However, it is survival of love. All right, sir. So should we say there has to be love, or I don't know whether you would agree, love or compassion? Now, that's the first question. But
Love or compassion?
yes, or both.
Oh. Oh, the first question. Shall I give this answer?
Yes, sir. You can leave, then I'll proceed further.
Okay, that's better. On the survival of love, survival of compassion, are these two interchangeable, or these two are different, or both different yet both required? This question. So the answer is, in this setting, when I use the word love, it is used in a very loose sense, a feeling of closeness, a feeling of affinity. That is what I refer to as the love. It has nothing to do with in other connotations. So love as in a feeling of closeness. Whereas compassion, if you look at any dictionary, any standard dictionary, compassion is defined as the feeling of closeness which wishes others to be freed of suffering. So this feeling of the closeness that I describe as love, this will manifest in the form of compassion when you see the other person being deprived of being, say, in a state of misery. So there, the same feeling, for example, like say this mug. If I want tea, this mug will be, this glass will become a tea glass. Whereas if I want to drink juice, then you can use the same glass, and it becomes a juice glass. Whereas if I want to take the medicine, and I want a plain water, it becomes a water glass. So the same glass can be labeled in many different ways. Likewise, the same feeling of closeness, can be labeled differently on the basis of this situation. It is more situational. That when you see that somebody who you love or somebody who you feel close to, when you see that person in a miserable state, that this love and affection then manifests in the form of compassion. May you be freed from suffering. Whereas when you see the same person deprived of happiness, then it manifests in the form of what is known as, say, maitreya. Maitreya meaning, may you have happiness and the causes of happiness. So that's the difference. That's the difference. In short, and the basic framework, the basic fabric of these two, compassion and the loving kindness, and the basic fabric is the feeling of closeness. So this feeling of closeness is precious, is the most important thing. And in other words, what I'm saying is that the survival of the feeling of closeness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think this is a wonderful way to understand compassion business. I think that is the way I would like to look at. Now to continue with the next question. Again, there is this little bit of explanation, and then she has asked a question, but with reference to someone who is not reaching his or her goals, when we go to them to help them down, so they don't belittle themselves and do not attempt anything wrong. Why is this happening, that they are not ready at all to consider what is the truth?
Okay, I could not understand your question. Please
Question
say it
is,
again.
see, sir, for example, let's say me and I have a friend and who is a business person. Okay. Now, when I go ahead and try to help them, in their business, thing is that they are unable to take up the truth in that particular situation. So, do you think that yes, we should be able to make them understand? And in that scenario, how is it that we are going to explain the truth to them?
Okay. It is like say that your friend or somebody who is not doing too well because of failing to see the truth, be it in business. And whereas you want to go to help, when you go to help the person telling that what you're doing is not correct, and a person may not acknowledge that. So you cannot, there's no possibility for you to help the other person. So how to let this truth come out, unravel this truth? Okay, this is, yes, this is a good question. And let us not forget these ancient wisdoms. There's an English expression which says that one person can take the horse to the river, but 20 men cannot make it drink. Let's not forget this. So with this, the point is that finally, for that person to know how to do the business correctly or not, what is that? Let's not forget the reason why this person should. Why do you think that he or she should do the business like this? And he's not ready to change. And you want him to change. Why do you have to change it? Why do you have to change it? Why do you think that yours one is correct? Maybe the approach may be wrong, but you think that it has to be fixed, right? Why do you have to be fixed? To fix it, you think the other person is going to be happier. But if the other person becomes more unhappy, you are wrong. You believe that what I'm doing is correct. That is wrong. So the point is that if you really know, you're confident that what other person is doing is wrong, and you want to fix it, and in the process of trying to fix it, if the other person become more unhappy by knowing that reality, then the purpose is defeated. So now what should you do? You should first thing that you should do is, if your intention is to help the other person, the person has to listen to you. So there is no one thing as unilateral truth. What are you doing is the truth and what the other person doing is wrong. No. Even the truth is dependent. The truth of the good thing happening out of your conversation with your friend is also dependent on both sides. You tell the wise advice, you give the wise advice, and the other person should receive that. Only then it becomes a meaningful truth. So the person should receive. When will the person receive it? Only if you express your skillfulness, your compassion. When you express the compassion in such a way that the other person feel your compassion, then the person will be receptive to what you have to say. Then you share the wisdom. Then the person will listen to this. Then the magic happens. That is the truth. So whereas, no, what you're doing is wrong. No, this is not the correct way. And then the other person says that, no, whatever is the correct, whatever I'm doing, I'm happy with this. Then you said, no, you're a stupid person. So the person is not benefited. You are upset, other person are upset, and the situation becomes worse. Who made the situation worse? Because of you. You're being unskillful. So therefore, again, here we see that we need to have the skillfulness. We need to have the love and affection, the feeling of the closeness, feeling of compassion, feeling of closeness, which you should express very skillfully, that the other person becomes receptive to the ideas that you have to share with. And these two things combined together will only bring the truth of the happiness that you're seeking in the other person. Perfect. Thank you. La. Karşıda. Unmute orada. La.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. The next question is, how a human should proceed to spread happiness when things does not go as we think? In fact, they appear to be contrary.
Okay. How to spread happiness when things don't appear to go as ought to be? How to spread happiness? Okay. This is a good question. For this, what I like to say is that first, let's keep in mind that the world, if you have expectation that the world should be perfect, you will be the first person to be always unhappy, because you are entering into a world which is imperfect with the expectation that the world should be perfect. So there's going to be a clash. When there's a clash, there's a friction. Friction is one is known as unhappiness. You are actually creating unhappiness. The first person to feel the unhappiness is you. So before you spread happiness towards the world, spread happiness within you. How to do that? First is by acknowledging the world, acknowledging that the world is imperfect, and I'm not going there expecting the world to be perfect. I'm going there to help the world, not expect the world to be perfect and to receive benefit for me. This is how it cannot work. It doesn't work. So always don't go to the world with expectation the world is perfect. This is number one. Because the world is imperfect, see what you can do to make the world a better place, not a perfect place. Don't expect to make the world a perfect place. All these great enlightened beings came on this earth, like Jesus came on this earth, like Ram came on this earth, Prophet Muhammad came, Baha'u'llah came, the Lord Mahavir came, and the Abraham came, Buddha came, Guru Nanak came, then the Zoroaster came, all these great teachers came, but the world, they could not change the world. The world is still imperfect, but they made the world a better world. So if this is what happened with these enlightened beings, don't expect that. And no, all the noble laureates also came. They could not change the world. So you don't expect that you're going to make the world a perfect world. For sure, you can make the world a better world. So for that, first learn how to keep yourself calm and happy. So for that matter, what is the secret of happiness within you? Feeling of affinity, feeling of, say, the compassion for yourself and for others. Just try to enrich this. Enrich this within you, you become a happier person. Only when you become a happier person and then become more learned, you are going to share the wisdom. You should have the wisdom. To explore gold, you should have enough gold. So to share the wisdom, you should have enough wisdom. So in other words, practice love and affection. And to share the happiness, you have to learn the art of what makes happiness, what creates happiness, the knowledge. You should be so enriched with knowledge. You should be enriched with compassion and feeling of affinity, feeling of closeness towards others. Only then, and then have no expectation the world is perfect. And with this, go to the world with the best of intention of feeling of compassion for the world, that the world should be a better place, not a perfect world. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, the last question for the day is, how can we understand non-duality? Is understanding of non-duality is related with compassion?
Okay, this is a very philosophical question. And non-duality has many connotations. For example, let's say the attachment. Attachment in the religious context is very different. An attachment in the science of computer science, attachment is nothing. Attachment is very common. So I'm going to email you with the attachment, or I'll send you this as an attachment to the email. Right? There's nothing to do with desire. But attachment in the religious context is very different. It means desire. So the non-duality has many connotations. So in which context you want to learn? This is the next question. So to make it very quick, the non-duality in the first, because this is a huge topic, and to understand this, we need to know, why do you want to know the concept of non-duality? If the answer is that I want to experience the infinite happiness and I want to get rid of all my own miseries, don't expect that you can make the world perfect, but you can make yourself perfect. Perfect meaning where all your miseries become zero and your happiness becomes infinite. This is the perfection within you. If you want to seek this, then you have to know, you have to have the experience of the non-duality. Non-duality of the subject and object. The object is like a dream, the subject like a dream, the solidification of the object and subject dissolves. So solidification of object, solidification of the subject, there's a duality there. You dissolve the solidification of the object, you dissolve the solidification of the subject, so the duality dissolves. At that point, you see that there's no object which can affect you. There's no subject which feels being affected, which feels being agitated, upset, and so forth. So both dissolve. At that point, you cannot be affected by any external factors. That is known as the infinite, the total fearlessness. And that at that point, your mind, because that there's no obstruction there, your mind flows freely towards every atom of the universe. That is the infinite happiness. That is the perfection within you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask one more question has come out here?
Yes.
So I'm just sharing
Yes.
that one also. How to
Yeah.
manage expectations from others? That is
How to manage?
Yeah, how to manage expectations from others? That is not to expect.
Okay. This is a very practical and extremely helpful question. How to manage expectations from others. Okay. I will share with you 2 points. One is, okay, this is my mobile. This is my mobile. And this is my notebook. I press the notebook. Don't expect music coming out of this. Okay, I press this mobile. I can expect music. So I press this. And music came out. And I press this. This is a clock. I press this and no music coming out. This is not the failure of the other person. It's a failure of your knowledge. Your knowledge is too shallow. So if you really want to cut the expectations, I really appreciate the person who brought this question up. Expectations create so much for unnecessary pains, corrosions within your mind. Expectations kill your spirit of joy. So with this, if you know that this is a mobile, it has all these facilities, the music, recorder, and so forth, that is just a simple clock. It does not have the provision for music. So knowing this, having this knowledge, you will not expect a music coming out from this clock. Say somebody who is, and they say somebody who is a little selfish. You give, say, X amount of, you give some present, and you say you are kind, and the other person is not kind, and you expect the other person to give the same present when you are in difficulty, when you are, say, whatever. You give a help when the other person is in difficulty, and you expect the same thing coming from the other person when you are in difficult situation. So there, you should know that you have the capacity to express compassion, a love, feeling of benefit. Whereas the other person, there's an element of the selfishness there. So when you know that, then the expectation will come down. When you don't know the other person well, okay, I did this, so when I'm in difficulty, the other person should be able to also do the same thing to me. When that doesn't happen, it destroys your peace of mind, it destroys your happiness. So therefore, they say in Mahayana Buddhism, there's a tremendous emphasis on your practice of generosity without expectation in return. This is one of the skills that you are advised to build in order to cut your unnecessary tension, stress, irritation, and so forth. When the other person doesn't meet your expectation, than what you expected. Yeah. So this is one point. Other point is that know that expectation is what kills your happiness. So if you know this, you think of this more. Think of this more. Initially, it's difficult. Although you think about it, still the expectation comes. But the more you think about it, expectation really destroys my peace of mind. Expectation really destroys peace of mind. This time, look, I expected, and again, it did not happen. Again, look, I become so miserable. So I should not expect. I give unconditionally. Okay, these are two things. One, you know the quality of the other person, the nature of the other person, and then with this, you can't expect. You will not expect. The expectation will be less. And the other thing is that, in the first place, learn that expectation is the one which destroys your peace of mind. Even without expectation, if somebody returns your, say, the good things, returns the good things that you did to a person, wonderful, that's amazing. You rejoice, you are happy. But if that's not, the person doesn't return, that's also fine. I did not expect. Okay, so these are two things that we can practice to cut down your expectation. Thank you.
Right, sir. Sir, I have 3 more questions. You want me to go forward?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is, how can we overcome overthinking?
Okay. Okay. Overthinking. Yes. Okay. Overthinking about what? This is the first thing is we have to be very clear. Overthinking of what? This is one thing. Some people, they have a tendency, they just overthink with anything. It becomes a habit. Whereas some people, they have some agenda inside, or, let's say that, okay, I must be the topper in the school, and then how to be the topper, how to study more. Okay, so we should be, so there are two things. One, with a very specific agenda, you become overthinking. And the other one, because of the tendency for one to be overthinking. There are two things. So how to deal with them? The first one, where you have agenda. Okay, I want, she has a very beautiful mobile. I want this, how to make it, how to get it. Then you overthink. Or I have a problem with there's a family fight there over the property, how to make everything into my name. Then you overthink. Okay, this is one thing. For this matter, if there is a case, if there's agenda there, then you should be very realistic. Sometimes it can be the other side can be very ambitious, very selfish, to try to greedy to take even your share of the possession. And sometimes it could be you who's so selfish. Sometimes all the properties go to the son, not to the daughter, and you think of taking everything away from the share of your family, the parents, not giving anything to your sister. This is, I personally disagree with this. Even if it is your tradition, it doesn't matter. But now it is in your hand. You can give a part of it. If you cannot give 50-50, at least give 25, 30, 40. Just see that. Oh, you should be loving. And in this process, you are happy that I'm able to do something to my sister. This is so important. We should not be too selfish. If you're too selfish, this makes you too overthinking, and it'll destroy your health, it'll destroy your sleep, it'll destroy your appetite, and your health will go down, and you'll show anger towards your wife, you'll show anger towards your husband, you'll show anger towards your children, and everybody become unhappy because of your selfishness. So, whereas if it is the mistake of the other side, if it is you are not the one, it's the selfishness of the other person that you are brought into this problem, and then you are thinking of how to overcome. Then you have to take appropriate measure. That's one part. Other side, if there is a tendency, just a mere tendency for you to overthink, even for small things. For example, like, okay, I bought a vegetable. Fine, you bought a vegetable, is fine. And then, okay, what should I make out of this? You can make something out of this. Okay, if somebody comes to ask for this vegetable, what if I have bought it from another shop? It may be cheaper. What's this? So these tendencies, just let's say the infatuated with the trivialities. How to stop these tendencies? For that, I give you one example. Say, I give you a mobile, let's say, a mobile, 1 year old, or let's say 6 months old iPhone 13. And then the next I said that you're allowed to keep only one mobile. And today I'll give you a brand new iPhone 13, which you prefer. For sure, you will be happy to throw the first one. Now today you want to get the brand new, because it's a relativity. Say, infatuation, which means that you want to think of something. That infatuation has the element of liking, has the element of desire. So desire is a very relative phenomenon. Desire towards object A. When you say object B is nicer, you discard the object A, you have the desire to discard object A and grab onto object B. When you come to reality, no, object A is more expensive, instantly your desire will shift. So what we do is that we can trick mind, knowing the psychology, we can trick a mind to divert the attention from the desire towards the trivialities towards a desire towards a more meaningful feeling inside. So do some practice of single-pointed meditation. The breathing, just focus on the breath. Don't do anything else, just focus on breath. Don't close your eyes, keep your eyes half open, body upright. Don't lean against the support, keep the body upright. Put upright and just breathe normally. Breathe out. Just blank your mind. Don't think of anything else. Just focus your mind on the breath. Initially, 7 times, 7 cycles. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. Just do it 7 times. If you succeed, make it 21 times. If you succeed, make it 5 minutes. Then you see that there's a real calmness that I'm experiencing, which is the meditation which I never experienced before when my mind was overthinking. So this training will stop you from overthinking. So this is pertaining to those people who have a tendency to overthink over anything. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful practical session for all of us. This is again one more question which has come in, wherein you were discussing about saying learned to make a world a better place. Okay. Now she's asking you what exactly you mean by learned and what one should do to be learned.
Okay. Again, these are all very good questions. So I'm very happy. Thank you so much. What does it mean by learner? Keep in mind that till our death, if you believe in rebirth, if you believe in next birth, again, it's a process even beyond that, beyond death. But even if you don't believe in rebirth, till our death, we are always in a process. We're not in the end. We're always in the process of the next step. Because we are in the process of the next step, what's the next step? You want a better next step or a worse next step? Everybody wants to have a better next step. So this better next step will never happen naturally. You have to create it with your mind. You have to create it. And how to create it? You need to know how to create this. This knowledge that you acquire, the fact that you do not know how, you do not know what today is not as good as what you expect that will happen tomorrow. So which means that yesterday you do not have the knowledge how to make today a better than what it is today. So this knowledge you have to acquire to make tomorrow a better than what you are today. You have to acquire this new knowledge that you have to learn. You become a learner. So every process, keep in mind that I am in the process. I'm not in the end. I'm in the process. A process where I expect that tomorrow always better than the today. For that matter, I did not know how to make the today as better than tomorrow, better than what is today, actually like tomorrow, better than what is today. Since I do not know this skill yesterday, now I don't want to stay what I'm like today. I want to be a better tomorrow. For that, I need to learn how to make a better tomorrow. In other words, it says that till you become a Buddha, till you become, everybody can become Buddha. Whether you are Buddhist, not Buddhist, it doesn't matter. Buddha doesn't mean Buddhism. It simply means the perfect being who attains the state of fearlessness and who attains the state of infinite happiness. Everybody has this potential, be it male or female. There's no discrimination. It's not that males have this potential, the females do not have this potential. It is totally outdated concept. Everybody has this potential. So with this in mind, with this in mind that sorry. So with this in mind, that we have this, know this, that I have this potential, and till you reach that potential, where this potential is manifested fully, you're always in a process. In a process, expecting a better tomorrow. So to expect a better tomorrow, don't dream that it'll happen automatically. This is what you have to make. For that, you have to know how to make it. For that, you have to learn how to make it happen. So this is why we should always be a learner every moment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And this is really the last question for the day, because I know you have a class also. Are Buddhist philosophy, Hindu philosophies like Upanishads and Advaita far superior for building happier world and self, while monotheist philosophy is superior in a realist and materialist world?
Okay. So this question, I do not really understand it. I don't mean to say that I don't get this question. So the point is that what do you want? Never say which religion is better. Buddhism better, the Vedanta is better, Christianity is better. Don't start with this. Start with what you want. You don't ask which medicine is better. Ask what are you suffering from. If you're suffering from tuberculosis medicine is best. But simply because that the medicines for cancer is so expensive. If you have to pay, if it's not subsidized by the government, it's very expensive. It's far more expensive than the tuberculosis medicine. So don't say that, oh, the medicine for the cancer is more expensive, I will buy this medicine to heal myself from tuberculosis. This is so unwise. So don't ask which medicine is best. Ask, what are you suffering from? What's your problem? Then, if your problem is that, okay, I want a job, don't go for religion. Study well. Sit for the competitive exams. Crack the exams. Get a decent job. And if you're sick, don't go for religion. Go to hospital. If you say, I'm hungry, don't go for religion. Go to the kitchen. You should be very realistic. Don't ever say which religion is better. Always say, what do you want? What do you seek? Then if you say that, okay, they say, I learn about, say, the cosmic consciousness. If this is what you want to manifest, go for those religions which talk about the cosmic consciousness. Oh, I'm interested in the polytheism, multiple gods. That's the best for you. Go for it. Oh, no. And the polytheism, it doesn't really make any sense, which means that the gods, they are fighting amongst each other. There's a jealousy amongst each other that I don't like. So I want to see them as role model. See, if they have jealousy fighting each other with each other, it's not a role model for me. For me, role model should be something who is very genuine. I'll go for the monotheism. That's better. Go for monotheism. Where some people know somebody dictating on me. Why should I be dictated? I have my full right to decide what I am. I don't want to believe in any theism. I want to believe in my own action. Go for this. Karma. So what do you want? What are you interested in? That is important. And then you go for the different religions. It is like, what are you suffering from? Are you suffering from tuberculosis? Or are you suffering from COVID? Or are you suffering from cancer? Are you suffering from autoimmune disorder? Or are you suffering from the compulsive obsessive disorder, COD, right? So then accordingly, you seek the treatment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I do not have any words left out here today. It was a wonderful way to understand Buddhism in various scenarios, especially in management and business studies. I only know that yes, I can fold my hands and bow my head in front of you, sir, again. And today, yes, sir, I'm holding my hands again to you because there were so many things. You have points, I should say, that you have really discussed that even me as a student of, let's say, reading Buddhism from that's what all the bookish knowledge. However, today, through you, I was able to understand those concepts, the new models that you have discussed. So, to come in, it's a really, I should say, intellectual happiness for me today, learned and more learned today. So, with those things, I'm going to come back again and say that this is end of today's lecture. Maybe I would be coming back again to understand more from you later on, sir. So we would be, inviting you again and again. That's what I would like to say. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot once again. And we need your blessings. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Ramani Swarnaji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And all the participants. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Take care, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Namaste, sir. Yes. So I think participants, I really thank you for joining me up. And though it was, I would say, only few of us who were present for this particular session, which was given by one of the best speakers. I mean, I have always learned from him a lot. I would say right from my college days, and whenever I get the opportunity, I keep listening to his videos so that I can understand. Now you do through this particular session, at least you have understood the real crux of qualitative research that he is referring to. He did not say that, yes, you are a person. In a way, he was pinpointing it is your happiness, the way you're thinking. So it is both inside and the importance of subjectivity that he has given the importance. However, in coming towards the other part of it, he has also pinpointed the importance of the other subjects, and he has wonderfully introduced the philosophy of dependent origination, interdependency, the concept, the way he has introduced. I don't think so that we would be able to understand the meaning of constructive, compassionism. I do understand. However, today, as a from the business perspective, constructive and destructive, look at it, those compassion, these kind of models that he's talking about, which you may not be able to find out in the any of the books on leadership, I would say, or even the marketing concept that you're talking about, and how well we can come up those 10 concepts that he had really discussed. And if some of you who are very good at writing case studies, especially, you can look at his discussion today that he has beautifully introduced. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know how many of you were noting down the points, and in fact, the concept of pluralism, that if you are not getting the importance of the reality that you wanted to do in quantitative terms, he has really showcased to you how you can move towards it. And I really thank Kanan sir, Yasha, Apurva, and Kunjal sir, who really picked up these kind of questions pertaining to our own qualitative research. And because he has another class, actually, we all do, through the Buddhist, I should say, Tibetan Buddhism, there are two courses which are there to understand the philosophical concepts about it. And, so he is the main teacher who's taking it up. So that's why I did not stop him. Otherwise, I could have taken more questions, in fact, and I could have, because the way he explains, I have always seen the practical part of it and the theoretical or the conceptual part of Buddhism. The togetherness that he gives with the help of the examples and everything is marvelous. And today in this particular session, I have seen that he has really pinpointed to new models of understanding compassionism within the business perspective, and a new definition, I would say, Buddhist definition of sustainability, if you have understood from that perspective. Then the way he has introduced dependent origination towards the corporate social entrepreneurship, or the responsibilities that do not kill the other person, however keep yourself also. Now tell me, in business, how many of us are really thinking in those ways? So I think these are the new concepts. Maybe you should all look at the video recording again and see to it that yes, you are inculcating. And now this was the only reason why I really wanted to, rather than just focusing on the Western concepts of realism, monotheism, or pluralism, or critical realism, to think even from the perspective of the Pan-Asian, where, they are not focusing on these things. They are giving that importance to the subject who is there, and the importance of the other individuals living in the society, so that you can look at the reality. And he has taken up, I think so, 4 or 5 examples in his entire lecture. After giving that 1 hour of lecture, I don't know how many of you have really understood that part of it. So if you can look into it again from this, you can write very good case study papers, number 1, from here, because these are all the new concepts that we have learned today. Number 2, definitely, yes, if you want to introduce from there, look at the business perspective from new angles, because this is the pandemic time, and we have seen how each one of us is interdependent upon the other, and look how well you can develop it. So I think with this, I'm going to conclude this particular session. And I thank you all, some of you who were with me right from the beginning. Thanks a lot. Kanan sir, especially you, Lal, Kunjal, then I have Yasha, Apurva, Jaspreet, Francis, and others who were there for some time and then they left over. So I don't have any problem. Again, tonight we have another session starting off at 9:30. He's also a wonderful person. Look at the practical. Now, you see, today, why I have kept these two things? One person coming from the spiritual domain and the other person coming from the industry. He is trying to showcase to you how the practical implementation, I would not call it as mixed methodology. Have a look at it, and then I will be discussing with you. So that is how I am planned. I have planned these two sessions on the same day. So 9:30 again sharp, I'll be joining up at 9:15. So hopefully all of you will be joining up for listening to the other speaker also side by side. Till then, thank you for joining me up. Have a wonderful evening. Catch you up at 9:30 again. Bye till then. Yes, Apurva. Apurva, I could not take up the entire discussion because those points were basically he was trying to, try to understand and looking at the actually I got the